Microsoft to increase its investment in Malaysia by 2.2 billion. MOH asks AstraZeneca to provide explanation on rare side effects. Madani, I'm Mohanapriya and you're watching Malaysia Tonight. Microsoft has agreed to increase its investment in Malaysia by $2.2 billion over the next 4 years. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim announced this after receiving a courtesy visit from Microsoft's chairman and chief executive officer Satya Nadella and delegation in Putrajaya today. The Premier, through a Facebook post today, stated that this is the largest investment by Microsoft after being established in Malaysia for 32 years. The investment includes the development of cloud systems and infrastructure, artificial intelligence, and the creation of AI skills opportunities for an additional 300,000 people. It also involves establishing a national AI excellence centre to enhance the country's cybersecurity capabilities and support the growth of the system development community in Malaysia. Datuk Seri Anwar said Malaysia welcomes the investment decision as a testament to their confidence in the country's strong economic foundation, clear and focused policies, investor-friendly environment and political stability. It will also be a key supporter of the government's focus on developing AI capacity within the country. Adding to that, Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Abdul Aziz said Microsoft Corporation's decision to invest in Malaysia demonstrated that Malaysia is recognised as a preferred hub in Southeast Asia. It simultaneously reinforced the region's position as important growth market. He said this also proved Microsoft's confidence in Southeast Asia and Malaysia's strategic position as a gateway for growth. Earlier, his ministry said that the multinational move also supports Malaysia's national initiative to embrace new enabling technology, including AI and generative AI, which could unlock $113.4 billion in productive capacity for the country. The investment will also power up the nation's economic growth and inclusivity through innovative cutting-edge technology, it said in a statement today. Malaysia's steadfast commitment to robust digital infrastructure has convinced many globally recognized multinationals to establish or expand their presence in the country. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim is confident that Parliament will approve the public servants' salary hike when it is tabled in the 2025 budget this October. He said that all leaders of component parties in the Madani government have also given their full support for the salary increase to be implemented from the 1st of December. The salary increase was announced yesterday, with its details to be discussed at the Civil Service Perdana program later, and the full announcement will be made during the tabling of the Budget 2025. He said the Public Service Department, PSD, has also been instructed to engage with civil servants in each state to discuss if adjustments were necessary. Datuk Seri Anwar also rapped certain parties who criticised the salary increase without considering the heavier responsibilities shouldered and the dedication showed by the civil servants.
Jadi ini sudah cukup majoriti. Sesuai dengan bimbang, insya-Allah Parlimen akan meluluskan dengan bergaya keputusan kita ini, supaya dapat kita laksanakan pada 1 Disember 2024. Yang dikaitkan ialah kenaikan ini rendah 15% kerana pernah mencecah 35%. Sebab itu saya kata nak kritik boleh, tapi sabar dulu. Jangan sombong dan angkuh. Jangan dengki.
Jet services at Sultan Abdul Aziz Shah Airport in Subang will commence operations from the third quarter of this year. Now, Transport Minister Anthony Loke said that the airport is currently undergoing renovations and adjustments by Malaysia Airport Holdings Berhad MAHB.
The medium term will be building a new terminal in Subang. That is to replace the Sky Park terminal. That will take at least about 3 years to complete. But meanwhile, we are doing some adjustment for the jet operations to start immediately. as I mentioned, probably by third quarter of this year.
The 149,500 square feet ExecuJet hangar located in Subang could accommodate up to 15 medium and large business jets simultaneously, including the ultra-large cabin Dassault Falcon 6X and Falcon 10X. With the Subang Airport regeneration plan in place, the minister said Malaysia is targeting to capture the aircraft maintenance business for business and private jets from the region, such as Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, Hong Kong and the Philippines. He also said the ministry welcomes more investors to come to Malaysia to invest in the aerospace industry, particularly in Subang, which could contribute towards a larger aerospace ecosystem. COVID-19 vaccine manufacturer AstraZeneca has been asked to provide detailed explanation regarding rare side effects of thrombosis with thrombocytopenia syndrome or TTS following its administration. According to Health Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad, the Health Ministry would ask representatives from the company to provide a more thorough and transparent explanation.
Boleh, kita tak ada masalah, kita boleh minta rep AstraZeneca untuk membuat penjelasan yang lebih teliti dan saya lebih mahu kalau ianya transparent. Ia menyebutkannya secara telus kepada semua, kepada rakyat dan kepada media. Mereka mesti bertanggungjawab. Seperti mana-mana juga kita juga mesti bertanggungjawab. Tak ada apa yang mau kita sembunyikan dan untuk kita defend mereka. Apa perlunya? Mereka big pharma, vaksin developer, mereka mesti memberi penerangan dan pencerahan itu kepada bukan saja rakyat di negara kita, globally juga.
The minister added that Health Ministry will continue to monitor the situation aside from preparing the clinical guidelines in treating those affected with the syndrome. He also urged other parties to not jump into conclusion regarding statement made by AstraZeneca. Previously, it was reported that the giant pharmaceutical company is facing legal actions on the charge of its vaccine, which was developed together with Oxford University, could cause deaths and adverse effects in various cases. The 30 million ringgit allocation for the Malaysian Indians Skills Initiative, or MISI, Technical and Vocational Education and Training, or TVET, special program for the Indian community under Kasuma Mitra, demonstrates the government's unwavering commitment to the Indian community. Indian Community Transformation Unit's or Mitra's Special Task Force Committee Chairman P. Prabhakaran stated that in total 30 million ringgit has been allocated under Kasuma to facilitate MISI programs. Prabhakaran emphasised that the Prime Minister's announcement underscores the unity government's commitment in addressing the community's issues and leading efforts to transform the Indian community, adding that any allegations suggesting otherwise are entirely false. Meanwhile, Human Resources Minister Stephen Sim Chi Keong stated that MISI aligns with Kasuma's 3K aspirations, which aim to enhance skills, success and welfare of workers. In business, Westports record net profit of 204.51 million ringgit in the first quarter. Stay tuned. Perusahaan Automobile Nasional Sdn Bhd or Proton will improve their production quality by reducing its Global Customer Product Audit or GCPA scores. Its Deputy CEO Roslan Abdullah said since 2019, its GCPA scores recorded a 55% drop. The GCPA is a product quality indicator where it rates issues encountered on the production line based on their severity. Roslan said in terms of Proton's market quality since 2019, about 1,005 issues have been resolved, or a 44% improvement in market quality. On the quality of their suppliers, Roslan said 43% of them were able to meet the minimum Better Business Bureau standard. On whether Proton is exploring new markets in Europe, Roslan said they have not focused on that thus far. He mentioned that Proton has identified specific countries where 70% of the market drives on the left-hand side. In order to cater to this market, certain requirements need to be met, which will result in increased costs. About 1 million tourists from China are expected to visit Malacca throughout the Visit Malacca year 2024. Last year, the number of Chinese tourists who visited the state was 204,000 from a total of 8.63 million tourists. Deputy State Exco for Tourism, Heritage, Arts and Culture, Datuk Zaidi Atan, said the 1 million target is achievable through cooperation from various parties.
Bahawa hubungan antara kerajaan China dan kerajaan kita telah lama berlaku dan hubungan ini perlu diperkasakan semula bagi menarik lebih ramai pelancong terutamanya dari negara China untuk datang kepada negeri Melaka kerana
Earlier, Datuk Zaidi welcomed the arrival of Fu Ning, the world's largest traditional Chinese wooden sailing boat, which will be docked at the Tanjung Bruas Pier for 7 days. The vessel, measuring 41.6 meters in length, 12 meters wide, and having a main mast height of 29 meters, will berth at the port for about a week as part of the ship owner Lin Changjiu's aspirations to honor the achievements of Admiral Cheng Ho and retrace his path along the maritime Silk Road. Westports Holdings Berhad's net profit for the first quarter rose to 204.51 million ringgit from 183.59 million ringgit registered in the same quarter last year. Revenue increased to 543.15 million ringgit from 512.92 million ringgit previously. In a filing with Bursa Malaysia today, Westports said the profit after tax increased by 11% to 205 million ringgit, attributed to a higher container revenue. In a separate statement, the largest listed port operator in the country said the company achieved a total revenue of 543 million ringgit as Westports handled a higher container volume by 5% of 2.67 million 20-foot equivalent units. Executive Chairman and Group Managing Director Datuk Ruben Emir Nyanalingam Abdullah said the Red Sea developments have a marked influence on container shipping. Looking ahead, he said Westports will celebrate its 30th anniversary this year, even as it embarks on the Westports 2 container terminal expansion program. He added that Westports is committed to maintain Port Klang's status as one of the region's biggest and most competitive mega transshipment hubs and being the premier gateway port to Malaysia. AirAsia Cambodia achieved a significant milestone today after it kicked off its inaugural domestic flight from Phnom Penh to Siem Reap with almost 100% passenger load. AirAsia Cambodia now operates daily flights between Phnom Penh, Siem Reap and Sihanoukville. These initial routes underscore AirAsia Cambodia's commitment on enhancing connectivity and providing affordable and convenient travel options for Cambodians and visitors alike. AirAsia Cambodia's CEO Visoth Nam, through a statement, said the timing of AirAsia Cambodia's domestic flight launch is also opportune, coinciding with the Cambodian government's concerted efforts to attract more tourists to the culturally rich province. Therefore, he said AirAsia Cambodia remained committed to support the Cambodian government's tourism initiatives across the country by providing affordable travel options for all. Adding to that, the CEO of AirAsia Aviation Group, Bo Lingam, said, with a track record of unlocking opportunities in underserved markets, the airline is poised to catalyze a new era in Cambodia's tourism industry and economy by making regional exploration more accessible to all. AirAsia flies to Cambodia internationally from its Kuala Lumpur and Bangkok hubs with 63 flights weekly. Asian stocks got off to a shaky start on Thursday after the Federal Reserve flagged delays to interest rate cuts, while the dollar fell heavily on the yen in what traders reckoned was Japanese intervention. Japan's benchmark Nikkei average N225 opened down 0.71% at 38,004.01 on Thursday, while Hong Kong shares barely moved at the open, with the benchmark Hang Seng Index inching down just over 2 points to 17,760. In South Korea, the benchmark Korea Composite Stock Price Index, or KOSPI, opened down 0.22% to 2,686.25 points. The Fed's decision to keep interest rates unchanged reflects the acknowledgement of the stalled progress in bringing down inflation to the desired 2% growth. The dollar's value fell by almost 5 yen in 40 minutes of late New York trade to touch 153 yen. It was last at 155.63 yen, having traded around 157.5 before the sudden dive. The move follows sharp yen gains on Monday, which Japanese money market data suggested may have been intervention to the tune of some 35 billion USD in dollar selling. Much of Asia is returning from a holiday that had closed markets on Wednesday, though Chinese bond, currency and stock markets remain shut through the rest of the week. Oil prices rose today, rebounding from the 3 days of losses on expectations that the lower levels may prompt the US, the world's biggest crude consumer, to start replenishing its strategic reserve, putting a floor under prices. Still, prices fell more than 3% yesterday to a 7-week after the US Federal Reserve kept interest rates steady, which may curtail economic growth this year and limit oil demand increase. Crude was also pressured by an unexpected increase in US crude inventories and signs of an impending Israel-Hamas ceasefire that would ease Middle East supply concerns. Brent crude futures for July gained 48 cents a barrel, while US West Texas Intermediate crude for June climbed to 46 cents a barrel. The US has said it aims to replenish strategic petroleum reserve after a historic sale from the emergency stockpile in 2022 and wants to buy back oil at $79 a barrel or less. In West Asia, the Middle East, expectations grew that a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas could be in sight following a renewed push led by Egypt. The U.S. Energy Information Administration, EIA, said crude inventories rose by 7.3 million barrels to 460.9 million barrels in the week ended 26th April, compared with analysts' expectations in a Reuters poll for a 1.1 million barrel draw. The Kuala Lumpur rubber market ended mixed today in tandem with the regional rubber futures markets as the ringgit strengthened against the US dollar. Further losses, however, were capped by a recovery in benchmark crude oil prices, and sentiment was also supported by concerns over shortage in natural rubber production due to bad weather conditions in producing countries. The dealer noted that market sentiment was further buoyed by news of a recent policy meeting in the United States, which provided relief to markets after the Federal Reserve left interest rates unchanged. The Malaysian rubber board's price for standard Malaysian rubber 20 was down a cent to 754 cents a kilogram, while latex in bulk increased by 3 cents to 714 cents a kilogram. At 5 p.m., the MRB closing price for SMR 20 stood at 755.5 cents a kilo, while latex in bulk was at 716 cents a kilo. Still to come in our foreign segment, South Korea Parliament passes bill to probe Itaewon crowd crush incident. Welcome back. South Korea's parliament on Thursday passed a bill to set up a new probe into a deadly 2022 Halloween crowd crush, which left more than 150, mostly young people, dead. Now, the parliament, which is controlled by the opposition, who secured a landslide victory in April legislative elections, passed the bill in a bipartisan manner with 256 votes in favour, 3 abstentions and no opposing votes. President Yoon Suk-yeol vetoed a similar bill that had been passed without the support of his party in January. This time, the parties reached a compromise by amending the earlier bill to remove direct investigative power from the 9-member panel looking at the disaster. The bill to establish a fresh probe follows the convictions of 2 former senior police officers in February for destroying evidence linked to the crush. Kim Kwang-ho, the former head of the Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency, is on trial facing professional negligence charges in which he denied. District-level officials have been prosecuted over the disaster, but no high-ranking members of the government have resigned or faced prosecution, despite criticism from victims' families over a lack of accountability. Tens of thousands of people had gathered on 29 October 2022 in Seoul's popular Itaewon nightlife district. But the night turned deadly when revelers poured into a narrow, sloping alleyway between bars and clubs with a lack of effective crowd control measures, leading to a crowd crush in which 158 people died and hundreds were injured. Solomon Islands lawmakers elected China-friendly former Foreign Minister Jeremiah Manele as Prime Minister on Thursday, choosing him over an opposition leader intent on curbing Beijing's reach in the Pacific nation. Manele won 31 votes in a secret ballot of 50 MPs, said Governor-General David Wunagi, the climax of a national election that will resonate in Beijing, Washington and across the South Pacific. His opponent, Democratic reformer and longtime opposition leader Matthew Whale, got 18 votes. Pacific watchers expect Manele to persevere with the archipelago's recent embrace of China, albeit with a lesser bluster than his predecessor, Manasseh Sogavare. A career diplomat before entering politics, Manele was foreign minister in 2019 when the Solomon Islands turned its back on Taiwan and established diplomatic ties with Beijing. Incumbent Sogavare withdrew from the contest earlier this week after failing to secure an election majority. Sogavare's popularity had waned during his latest term as a premier, and his leadership was increasingly seen as divisive and heavy-handed. Manele vowed a government of national unity that would focus on improving the economy and progress on the road to recovery after the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the number of people aged 60 and older in developing Asia and the Pacific is set to nearly double by 2050 to 1.2 billion people, and comprehensive policy reforms are urgently needed to support the welfare of older people. A report released today by the Asian Development Bank says longer lifespans reflect the region's development success. But the region is not prepared to secure the well-being of its rapidly aging population and their increasing need for healthcare services. The report also forecasted that the regional economies could reap a silver dividend in the form of additional productivity from older people, which could boost the gross domestic product in the region by an average of 0.9%. According to the report, many older people in the region have no choice but to work beyond retirement age to survive, while those still working at age 65 or older, 94% work in the informal sector. The report recommended various policy measures to support the aging population, including government-assisted health insurance and pension plans, improved health infrastructure, as well as basic labor protections for older informal workers. Up next in sports, FIFA approves of VAR usage in Malaysia domestic league. Stay tuned. Niklas Füllkrug gave Borussia Dortmund an advantage 1-0 win over Paris Saint-Germain in their Champions League semi-final first leg on Wednesday. Now, seeking a return to the final for the first time since 2013, the 1997 winners were dogged and determined, outmuscling their heavily favoured opponents in front of more than 80,000 PSG fans. Füllkrug, playing in his first Champions League season at the age of 31, collected a lofted pass from centre-back Nico Schlotterbeck in the 36th minute and blasted a low shot into the left corner of the net. PSG, led by Kylian Mbappe, hit the post twice in quick succession early in the second half but could not break through. Dortmund, who had already lost and drawn against PSG this season in the group stage, can continue to dream of a return to Wembley 11 years after their last Champions League final. Now, despite the setback, PSG will remain confident of overturning the deficit at home next week against a side they thoroughly outclassed at their home venue in September. On to domestic league development. The use of video assistant referee or VAR technology in the Malaysian League or M-League competition has officially received recognition and approval from the World Football Governing Body FIFA. Football Association of Malaysia FAM Deputy President Dato' S. Sivasundram said the technology will be used in the league's 2024-2025 season beginning 10th of May. He added the approval was given after a team of FIFA delegates led by its senior football technology strategy manager Bhaveshan Morgan and referee instructor Igor Rodacic assessed referee skills and the effectiveness of VAR technology in Malaysia last month. The implementation of VAR in Malaysia began in April last year with a visit from FIFA delegates for briefings on the protocols and procedures. Subsequently, FAM initiated VAR referee trainings in June of 2023 until last April, going through 3 training phases before FIFA finally certified 22 referees as VAR referees, 20 assistant referees as AVAR or assistant video assistant referees, and 9 referees as replay operators. The governing body also trained 17 assistant referees to understand VAR protocols and will appoint them as assistant referees 1 and 2. FAM will keep teaching VAR skills and conduct post-match analysis to improve the VAR system in the long run. The U.S. anti-doping agency, USADA, criticized the World Anti-Doping Agency, or WADA, on Wednesday for doubling down on half-truths after the global body published a document outlining its handling of a case involving Chinese swimmers. USADA's 16-page document outlined a wide array of concerns and is the latest salvo in a public spat between the two sides. WADA said last week that it would launch an independent review of its handling of the case amid a widespread backlash after USADA called for a complete overhaul of the global body to restore confidence ahead of the Paris Games. WADA has been under fire since the New York Times reported last month that 23 Chinese swimmers tested positive for trimethazidine ahead of the Tokyo Games in 2021, but were allowed to compete after being cleared by a Chinese inquiry. And that's it from us tonight. In our top story, Microsoft to increase investment by 2.2 billion ringgit over the next 4 years. Do join us tomorrow afternoon on TV2 for your daily world updates. Till then, I'm Mohana Priya. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Goodbye.